evidence that I get from doing my show and what people are saying to me.
So when you worked with the Young Turks, and then you had a pretty public falling out, or a big falling out, with Cenk Uygur, the kind of the head of the Young Turks, or
Yeah.
the mullah, the imam of the Young Turks.
I'll let you
Yeah,
handle
okay,
that
yes.
one.
The patriarch.
Sultan,
of
I think,
the
would be.
Sultan.
Yeah,
So that's
there
the
you
word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, because that is it's an interesting case where he had Sam Harris on, who is a critic of Islam. And Sam Harris says that there are certain types of that Islamic jihad, the Islamic part matters. And they had a big, long conversation about that. What about the tenor and tone of that conversation turned you off and had you go out on your own?
Yeah, well, there's so many people that I think had their political awakening right around when I did. And mine sparked the night that Sam Harris was on Real Time with Bill Maher, and he got into that big fight with Batman, with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
And Affleck's
I like to think of him as Daredevil, but I realize I'm in the minority.
I know he's not that happy being Batman right now, so he'd probably prefer that too. But basically, Bill Maher, who had been the standard bearer for the left, the most outspoken liberal there is, who has fought against wars, who has fought for every minority and to grow the state and welfare and all of these things. He's been a standard bearer of the left. And suddenly this guy, Sam Harris, I didn't even know who Sam Harris was. That's the God's honest truth. I wasn't even following him on Twitter. I did not know who he was. Here's this calm guy, lays out a couple Pew statistics, talks about the difference between the nominal Muslim, the Islamist that wants to change things using political power versus the jihadist who wants to use violence, et cetera, et cetera. The response from Ben Affleck is, "You're gross and racist." And then suddenly the next day, the onus was on Bill Maher and Sam Harris to prove that they weren't racist. Now, forgetting that Islam isn't a race, that's a whole other thing that gets lost in the conversation. But my point being, it exposed so many things. It exposed lazy thinking of progressives, in this case Ben Affleck, where we're trying to have a complex discussion. You immediately go to these buzzwords. It shuts down the conversation. But it also showed me some other things. For example, the next day, all the newspapers, all the online outlets, now saying, is Bill Maher racist? Bill Maher, I mean, no one can point to evidence of him ever being racist. And then Sam got dragged into that. Then Sam sat down for a 3-hour conversation with Cenk. I was still working at the Young Turks at the time. And it was just, I would welcome any of your viewers to watch it, because for 3 hours, Sam sits there calmly with his leg crossed and one glass of water and just absolutely decimates Cenk, who's, freaking out the whole time and can't get a cogent point across.
If you're being incredibly specific on suicide bombers, okay, we had Buddhist suicide bombers, kamikaze fighters. Okay. So we've had them all.
Okay, let's not be so scattershot here. So I can talk. I've written and spoken about the link between Zen Buddhism and the kamikaze pilots, right? So you can get a death cult out of some quasi-Buddhist ideas.
And I realized in the midst of that I thought, I don't really want to work here. And then a couple months later, Charlie Hebdo happened. There was a lot of pushback from various hosts on the network about, we shouldn't do this. Yes, you can do it, but you shouldn't upset people with cartoons. And then it was just enough. It was just enough for me.